Okay, so we are back for our final month of the Northern Flora block of the month. This month we're going to do our finishing kit. So I'm actually going to do this one in two videos. Today we're going to do all of the branch appliques that you see around the outside. So that's all of the applique portion of it. And then later in the week, I'm going to do just a quick tutorial that goes over the instructions on how you want to do your borders and apply your appliques, and assemble everything. So that one is coming probably after the weekend or this weekend or early next week for sure, so that we can get this wrapped up and you guys are almost done. So I'm going to move my book out of the way for the moment. And so this is the kit you're going to get. Now, some of you, I did use a couple different bag sizes when packaging this one. So some of you might have one that's a little smaller. It's a 9 by 12 or a 12 by 12. I do it in either one, but it has the same things in it. So if your kit's a little smaller than this, don't think you're missing anything. That's just a different bag. So what you can see here on the front of the kit is basically all of your border fabrics, your inner border, and your binding. That's what's showing up here. And just so that you understand what's what, everything is labeled as far except for these outer border strips. So your binding is this black forget-me-not. This dark blue blueberry is your second inner border. This other blueberry and all these other strips are going to be your pieced outer border. So you'll notice the blueberry in green is a little bit of a different size. That's because you're going to cut two 3.5-inch strips out of this, and all these rest of them you're only cutting one 3.5-inch strip of. So you end up with 12 3.5-inch strips total. You have 11 fabrics here, but the blueberry makes up your 12th piece. So you actually get two out of the blueberry, and then 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 with all the others. So looking at the back, we've got this light blue that you can see all around the background there. That is going to be all of your setting triangles around the outside and your first inner border, which makes that center float. And then all of your applique pieces. So I've got another set of appliques ready to go. They're all labeled. Here's we're going to go to the first ones. This is the aspen. And I've got my pieces labeled. I didn't label the branch just because it's one piece and it's called branch. So I figured you can figure that one pretty easily. And then I've got all my leaves labeled here. So you'll notice with these ones, we actually are going to make multiples of everything. So every aspen, birch, cedar, and spruce branch, you do 2. The willow branches, we're actually doing 6. So there's a bunch of those ones. And they're the most complicated, so I apologize for that. It's like, why didn't you make 6 of, the spruce one? That's the easiest. But no, I did the willow. Okay, so this is something we haven't been doing in the other blocks because we've been arranging on the blocks, right onto the fabric background. This time we're actually going to arrange on an applique pressing sheet, and I'm going to actually leave all the appliques on the pressing sheet for the time being so that I don't get them messy, get like fuzz or hair or dirt or anything behind them. So if you have a pressing sheet, well, one, you'll want to have a pressing sheet. This is the size that I started with. It's a 13 by 17 size. Most craft stores and a lot of quilt shops will have one of these. If you don't have one already, they're, I think, around $20 to $25 in general, around that price for this size. There are multiple sizes. I actually have an 18 by 20 is my favorite size, and I think all your branches could definitely fit on one of those. But you can also get, I have this one here is like kind of a weird size. It was one that I got that was huge. And I thought, oh, that'll be great. I could put all kinds of stuff on it. But actually it was sort of a pain being really, really big. I couldn't fit, I could fit a lot of things on it, but then things were like falling off the side, and it was just so ungangly that I ended up cutting it into smaller, more manageable sizes. So I have a lot of little pressing sheet pieces that I'm going to put my appliques on and just leave them on the pressing sheet until the time comes where I'm ready to put it on the quilt. But if you only have one and you don't have enough room, you can also peel them off once we fuse them and stick them on like a piece of parchment paper, and they will hold to the parchment paper well after you've gently fused them as one piece, which we'll do, and you'll see how that works. And that will also keep them from getting dirty while you're waiting to finish your assembly and get them ready. So if you don't have a big enough pressing sheet to put them all on to store for a while, that's okay. Just grab some parchment paper, and that will work to stick them on. I wouldn't arrange on parchment paper. You could try. I've never done the arranging and it applied any heat to parchment paper, but I have used it as something to kind of keep my appliques on temporarily. So you'll notice at the back of the book, we did the lady slipper last month. There are 3 other blocks. There's a salmon berry, there's a strawberry, and there's a watermelon berry. So this was part of when I did this quilt as the Alaska Shop Hop. I did this little bonus project here that had the berries in it, and it's on the back of the book. It's not in the quilt, so it's not one that I do. I haven't ever lasered that one or any of those blocks, but it is a project that you could do should you want to, but you will have to cut them yourself. Sorry to tell you. I also am using one of my books that's a little damaged. It had some pages that printed really light, so you might notice my book has these really, really faded pages. It's fine. They work still. I can still see what I'm doing and what I need, but your pages shouldn't look like that unless you've purchased one of the discounted ones or accidentally got one like that. But it is still, you know, I could still see it. I just try to weed them out if I find them, because I don't like my stuff to be not 100% perfect if possible. So anyways, if you happen to have one that has that, or if in the future I'll run into the point where I only have these ones left, and I'll probably just have them at a little bit of a discounted rate because they're still very usable. It's just that they are, they're just, the ink just was light, and it's the same on the front pages that correspond to those. So I think on mine it's, yeah, these first 2 pages, 2 and 3. So anyways, we're going to start with the aspen. So the aspen, what I'm going to do is, just looking at these here, I'm noticing that I've not put very good instructions on these. It's funny how when I go and do them myself, I don't pay attention, but they're pretty simple. You're essentially arranging your branch and then your leaves in numerical order: A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, C2. And so they're very simple. So we're going to go ahead. I'm going to put this off. I'm going to fold this up, put this off to the side. I'm going to grab my aspen, and I made my photocopy. So I've got my photocopy, got my light table, got everything labeled, and I'm just going to do one of them for the tutorial so that you can see what to do. And you're going to want to end up doing 2 of these in the end. So turn my light table on, and I'm going to dim it a little bit because it gets real bright for you guys. Oh, it's barely on. Yeah, let me bring it up just a tiny bit. Okay. Okay, so I'll just put this here too. We'll go like this so it kind of blocks some of that light. Okay, so we're going to do our aspen. So the very first part we're going to do is we're going to arrange the branch. And then, and you'll notice that in the layout here, it has these little curves. So when you go to put them, let's see my book here. When you go to put them on the quilt, those curves are the edges of your cathedral window to kind of give you a guide on where you'll want to arrange them between the cathedral window arches there. Okay, but we're not going to do that yet. Okay, so I'm just going to put my branch in place. And then we're going to go to, just like we've been doing through the whole book, A1, and then A2. Remember, these little veins can sometimes be a little delicate. So if you have anything that's holding, instead of tugging real hard, you want to grab your little thread scissors and snip those away. Now I because I have my light table turned down so much, I can't see the veins very well through here, but what I'm going to just do is this point of the vein will go at the point where the branch meets, right? That's where that will always start from. So I'm just going to put it there and make sure that my tip here goes to the tip of the leaf, and wherever that lays in there, I'm just going to leave it. So I'm not going to worry so much that I can't see those veins super well, because if I have that point start here and the tip go to the tip of the leaf, it should just be going right where it's supposed to. And I don't ever like to force the appliques somewhere where they're not supposed to be, or to, you know, try to twist them a little bit. They should just lay just like they're, you know, right in position if they're positioned correctly. So again, I got my point and that tip there. The tip's going to go there. The point is going to go right up here to the point of the leaf. And then the rest of it, I'm just going to let it lay how it wants to. See? And I have a funny kind of story for this particular leaf. When I was designing this quilt in 2013, I worked on most of the blocks in the summer. And then when I was trying to determine how I wanted to finish it, now this one, I'm just going to have that kind of follow to where it's going toward the tip. Let the rest of it lay how it wants. Anyways, when I was working on the flowers, it was the summertime, and as I was kind of finishing things and getting around to how am I going to finish the outside, I decided that it was starting to get to be fall, so it was probably, gosh, by the time I was getting to that part, I think it was getting into like late September, October, probably at least October, now that I think about it, because I took pictures of spruce and birch and stuff, and I wasn't sure, and I was like, well, what other leaf should I, or what other things should I do? And I wanted to do 2 coniferous and 2 deciduous trees, so 2 leafy trees, 2 with cones, and so I'm grabbing E now, and I all the leaves, I'd taken some pictures of birch trees already, and so I had some birch ones, but by the time I got around to figuring that that's what I was going to do, most of the trees had already lost all their leaves, and so it was like, oh geez, you know, bumped that there. I really wanted to get out and get some good pictures for color and for layout and design of another leaf. And I love aspen trees because they're sort of silvery. So the aspen is done here. So just to quickly get through my story, there were no leaves left on the trees. And so I went looking around, and I was like, well, what am I gonna do? Maybe I'll just have to like look for some pictures, or just draw some, you know, or just kind of look online at pictures and draw out a few. Well, I came home one day from the grocery store, and on the ground next to my car was this branch of aspen leaves. They were still green. I don't know where they came from, but it was a perfect little branch for me to use. And so it was so funny to me, because I was like, did my grandpa send this to me or something? Because I was thinking, man, I wish I had a good picture of aspen leaves, because I love those aspen leaves. And I come home in like late October, everything else is orange and yellow. All the trees, all the leaves are off the trees. And boom, there's this aspen piece. And it wasn't super pretty looking, but it was green enough that I could get some good color from it to match with my fabrics. And it was just a beautiful little branch. And so this is that branch. And so I always think it's funny, this branch just sort of came to me in the late fall for me to finish the quilt. So anyhow, so I've put this aspen branch together. I'm just gonna do one of each. So if I was doing this and gonna leave them on here, I'd probably just build the other one right next to it. And then that way I have them both here. What I'm gonna do with all of these is I'm going to just gently fuse them as one applique. So when you have some of these little delicate areas here, sometimes I like to kind of try to avoid fusing too much in this area, because when you peel them off, sometimes those can get, they stick to this pretty, I mean, just temporarily because it's a Teflon sheet, but they can stick pretty strong still, and sometimes it can tear those when you go to peel them off. So a lot of the times with something like this, I'm gonna get my iron on kind of a medium heat. We don't want it too hot because we're just doing a temporary hold, right? What I'll do is I'll actually just put my iron on the leaf, making sure to touch the branch because it is under there just a little bit, but kind of avoid this middle area and just give it a little heat and lift. And then these leaves, give them a little heat and lift, and then maybe spin her around here so I get to a better, this guy, a little bit of heat and lift. And that's warmed up that glue enough, maybe that a little bit more. My iron was just turning on. There we go. So that's warmed that up just enough that at this point that it should hold those together. Now I'm not going to try to peel it off right now because it's still warm. So you don't ever want to try to peel an applique off a pressing sheet right after you applied that heat, because then it's the glue is still soft and warm and it could just kind of come unstuck from things. So give it a few minutes to cool. And so while that's cooling, let's move on to our birch branch. So got my birch branch here. And again, I'm actually shocked at myself. I didn't really write instructions for these. I guess maybe when I did it, I thought people should figure it out. I don't know. Why wouldn't I have done that? Anyhow, well, you're getting your instructions, I guess, this way. So again, it's another real easy one. Branch first, leaves A, B, C, D. Do them in numerical order. So let's put our birch branch under here. And I'm going to grab the branch first. Just pop it out. Whoop. Be a little careful with those skinny pieces. You know, they do like to tear sometimes. And if you have a part that does say that tears up, and I've shown you in the past with some of the other ones, you can, if you have scraggly little threads sticking out, you can trim those a little bit, but then just lay it down and just butt them right up against each other. And you won't even notice the tear once you fuse it. If it tears while it's on the, before it goes on the applique, and then you might have a point where maybe it tore in here. So when you go to peel it off, maybe this leaf and this part of the branch is separate. When you go to arrange it on your quilt, you just arrange this in place and then put your little leaf and your little branch and just butt them up together when they're on the fabric, and then fuse it on the fabric, and it'll just sort of heal itself with that glue. So okay, so I'm just going to lay this down. Okay, and then we're going to grab a leaf A, and we have an A1. So like we've been learning, if there's an A1, that means there's an A2. And A2 is going to be right here. And be gentle with these ones. Oh, see, I tore one. Okay, so that's okay, because what am I going to do? I'm going to just take that little piece, and it's stuck to my thumb, so that's fine. I'll just let it stay on my thumb. I'm going to take this, peel this off, and just kind of check that edge. That's fine. And again, the point at this tip and the point at this tip, you want this tip to kind of go toward the center tip of the leaf, and this tip to go right where the branch is. So if you can't really see those through your light table, it's okay. Just put them on there, that through the center, and you're good. Now this little piece that got tore, I'm just going to take it. Oop, it wants to go all over the place. Okay, I'm just going to take it between my fingernails, and or you can use tweezers, and I'm just going to lay it down where it butts right up to that edge, and you can't even tell that it was torn at all. So if you have that happen, it's a real easy heal to just put them together. And if I had like a thread, or if it had gotten like where it pulled and it maybe pulled all the threads apart, that's when I might trim that down a little bit and then place it on, so that, you know, you don't have those little threads everywhere. Because that kind of shows that, I think something maybe happened to that one. So again, starting there, putting my point toward the center, and let those veins just lay where they want to lay. And now C1 and C2. Right there at that center point, guiding it down the middle, and just let those veins fall. And then D. And that's it. So you'll repeat that for your second birch branch. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just fuse it together. And I'm again going to kind of avoid that branch section there because it's thin and I don't want to do anything to make it tear when I go to release it from the applique sheet. So I'm just kind of hitting these ones where there's an attachment. Now that one does have an attachment to the branch. I do want them to get attached to the branch. If they don't, if like you have a problem where when you go to lift it up, it's like, oh geez, it's not wanting to stay attached to the branch. That's okay, because when you lay it down under your blue fabric, you have this guide right here, right? Where you're going to put your applique, cathedral window appliques here lined up with this, and you can lay it on your light table and you'll be able to see where you're putting stuff. So say you have an issue where this leaf won't stay stuck to that branch and it keeps peeling off and you're damaging the branch trying to get it to stay, to be one whole piece to go arrange it on your quilt. Well, just let that leaf be loose. Put everything else down, get the branch in place, and then grab that leaf and just stick it in place, right? Because sometimes with these real thin areas, they can not want to always hold because it's a very small amount that's under that leaf, right? Okay, so we're going to, again, move on. So you'll want to make 2 of the birch. And now we're going to do our cedar. Okay. So the cedar one is pretty simple. Let's see if I can show, because mine is a light, one of those books, you know, that has the real light thing. So I'll just put it here so I can see what I'm up to. And so first we're going to start with a branch. So just pop that branch out. I just kind of work around. Work around, work around, work around, work around. Get it all out. I have a little section here that tore and it's, there we go. It was, but it's a throwaway part, but piece of paper there. So there's my branch. And another thing you can do if you want to, you can lay this down and not take the paper off the back of like ones like this and just arrange your cones on top and iron them and leave the paper on the back of this until you're ready to apply it and then peel it off. You can always do stuff like that too. And I have done that on other things before too, where I've had one big piece as the background. And because I just don't want it to get dirty, I've left the paper on. And then when I go to peel, and I put everything else on top of it like I'm supposed to without paper, and then fused it as one piece. Or even if say you have a background where it's one big thing in the background and you fuse everything onto that, you don't even necessarily have to fuse them if they're all stuck to that. You can just pick the background up and it will, you know, they'll hold temporarily without heat. But in this case, I went ahead and peeled the paper off, so it's stuck on here. But you could potentially leave this paper on the back until later, put these all on there, fuse them, and the paper is going to keep it from sticking to the pressing sheet in those areas, and then lift it up and the cones will stay stuck to the cedar branch. And then you don't have to worry about getting dirt and stuff off the back of the cedar branch if you're setting them aside somewhere for a little while, and then peel the paper off when you go to put it on the fabric. But okay, so we're going to do these little cones. So we're starting with A, do them in numerical order. A1 first. I think it goes like, lift that up and just check myself here. Goes this way. Okay. A1. So here's an A2. And I'm going to just put this like this so I can see. So A2 goes here, A3, and that looks like that's it for A's actually. Okay, so now B1, B2, B3, and B4. My paper is not perforated real well on that one, but it's pulls off. And now C1, and C2. Okay, so now that one is ready to go. We just want to apply a little heat, and I'm only going to apply the heat where the cones are. I'm just going to go like this. And the reason that I'm only going to apply the heat to where the cones are is because all of this, it's not sticking to anything, right? There's nothing else there that I need to make sure stays together. It's just these little cones. So I'm going to let the rest of it just leave it alone, because even though they'll come off from this pressing sheet, and I'll show you with the aspen, we'll go ahead and peel this one up. When I peel, I'm going to peel gently from the leaves toward the branch so that I'm being real delicate with that branch, because it is thin, right? And we didn't fuse in the middle there, so that should release really easy. So there we go. So that released really easy off of there. I'm going to go ahead and put it back down, and I'm just going to, everything's one piece now. I'm just going to kind of press it. Stay there. Okay, so that's it for the cedar. And now when I do the spruce one, I'm going to show you how I would do the spruce one, leaving the paper on the back. Spruce is so easy. You're going to be like, why weren't they all like spruce? They just put a bunch of spruce around the outside, right? Okay, so for the spruce one, I'm going to go ahead and pop one of my branches out. See, this one wants to come out first, so this one is it. And I'm going to leave the paper on it. I'm just going to lay it on there where it's supposed to go. And now I'm going to take cone number 1. Put a little bit there that wants to stay in there. Okay. And peel the paper off the back of cone number 1. And I'm going to leave my branch in place, kind of hold it because, you know, it's not stuck there. Stick the cone on. Grab cone number 2. And put that in place. And there you go. That's it. That one is so easy. And now I don't even need to put a heat. That's what I was kind of explaining before. I'm going to turn this light off. I don't even need to put heat on that. Now the glue is exposed back here. Oh, there's some paper stuck on part of that cone. There you go. So the glue is exposed. So I don't want to just leave it lying around because dust and fuzz and stuff could get on that, real easily. So I'm going to leave it here, and I'm just going to press where those cones glue is exposed, and it'll stay on that paper just fine until I'm ready to put it on my background. But it's really easy to peel off the pressing sheet. Most of it is still very protected, and it will be perfectly fine to just hold like that until we're ready to put it on our background. So that is something you can do with the cedar one as well, and the spruce one. So if you want to. Okay, last one we're going to do now is going to be our willow. So now this one you're going to hate all of me, or all of you are going to hate me. This is the last one to do. And, then you do 6 of them. It's like, couldn't you make it easy for us at the end? It's like making you do another forget-me-not, right? You started with the hard one, now you have to end with a hard one. Okay, so light on, and we're gonna do the willow. So first, branch A. And I'm just gonna put it here. Like I like to find those little forks to put it in. I'm just gonna stick it there, let it fall. Branch B. Okay, and then put the rest of these off to the side, and then we're going to start with the little willow things. Now, you'll see in your move it up here. Down here, everything's numbered. If it's just a single number, that means it's just a one part. If it has a B or an A, then of course you're going to go like 10A, 10B, 11A, 11B. So let's start on these. One is just one, and one is actually going to be in the silver. And now the willow, I'm actually going to tuck this one under that branch. I probably should have put these first ones under the branch. I can't believe I didn't write instructions for these branches. 1 and 2, you can put it right on top if you want to, but I'm going to just tuck the little point under the branch because that's really how it's supposed to look. Okay, 3 says 3B, so we're going to go, that wiggled. We're going to go to 3A. And then we're going to put 3B in the middle. Now 4A. 4B. 5A. 5B. 6A. 6B. 'Oh, I just grabbed the wrong one. I think I grabbed, what did I just grab? Sorry, I wrote one wrong. Let me just take a look at my little thingy here. 6, 5, oh, 8. I wrote 6 instead of, oh, wait a minute. It's so silly when I have to do this. 11, 10, oh, I see. I forgot to write 10. I miswrote one of my things. I put 8 as 10. Okay, so this is 8. I'm going to stick this right here. And then we're going to skip to, or I'll go back to 6B, which is up here. So the book is correct. I just mislabeled them when I was writing them all down. Okay, so now 7 is this other little blossom at the tip, and it really should tuck under the branch. So usually when I would write instructions, I would tell you to put those down first and then put that on. I don't usually like to do tucking, but apparently I did. Okay, 8A, and then this one here that I mislabeled as a 6 is 8B. 9A. 9B. 10A. Oh, that's not it. What am I doing? It's over here. 10A. 10B, which I wrote it as 8A. What am I doing? Silly. Okay. 11A. Oop, I bumped it a little bit. And if you bump something, don't go taking a bunch of stuff off to fix it. Just fix it back, put it back in place. At least this area, which I'm working on, this got a little off. That's okay. I'm just going to fix and straighten up the area I'm working on, and then not worry that wiggled a little bit. You will not notice that it wiggled. I do that all the time. 12A. And 12B. Okay, so now this one, I'm sorry to tell you, you got to do 6 of, so you got 5 more to go on that one, but that wasn't horrible. It wasn't as bad as the forget-me-not. Like maybe once you finish all 6, you would think it is, but it's not too bad. So we're just going to now apply heat, and on this one, I'm going to apply it over the whole thing. And because I do have parts everywhere, and just a couple seconds there, let it cool. And so that's all the branches. So now at this point, like I said, we have like our spruce one super easy. We need to do 2. So repeat of these 4, and then 5 more of this one for 6 total. I will, because I have a bunch of pressing sheets, I'm just going to leave them on the pressing sheet until I'm ready to put them on the fabric. If you only have this size pressing sheet and you're like, well, there's no way I can't put any more on this one, then you can always get a piece of parchment paper and go ahead and put them on parchment paper temporarily, and that will keep them from getting fuzz and gunk on them, and then they'll just peel right off of that too. Don't apply heat though, just stick them on the parchment paper just without any heat. They'll hold to it well enough to at least keep them protected till you're ready to use them. And so I will be doing the next video, the final video, which is, I'm not going to be going through all the sewing in like where I'm sewing with you, but I will go through all the steps in the book on how we do the arrangement, and then your final steps in putting your appliques on, how you will piece your borders, and finish it all up. And I should have that up here in a few more days. So I'll see you guys one last time soon.